Hello and welcome to Flooring Models Kit View Time. Today we've got Eduard's brand new release, the 1/48 scale P-51 Mustang D. Now, to be honest with you, you'd think the world probably doesn't need another P-51 Mustang, because that's basic. We've got Tamiya, there's a Meng one out there, there's various different versions, this one out, and then obviously recently FX released one as well. So there is quite a lot of choice out there. But when Eduard decide to put their full weight behind a kit, and when we say that, we're not on about the reboxes and stuff we do, this is their own tooled stuff, okay? It tends to be very, very special. So when you go back across the sort of history of them, obviously they're 109. I know it had a few perhaps little issues, but were fixed, okay? And then obviously we went into their Spitfire, and the detail on that is absolutely amazing. Their MiG-21 series of jets, their 172nd series, and yeah, they've all been absolutely phenomenal in the level of detail that we haven't seen before in 1/48 scale. So when we heard this one was coming out, it was that thing of, yes, it's another P-51, but it's going to be good. And boy, is it. So anyway, without further ado, down here in the box, you can see we've got some very nice box art on the box. Now, it's the Chattanooga Choo Choo down on the front. All the other versions. So because this is one of their sort of, you know, they call it limited edition. I don't know how limited that is. It'll probably go on forever. But you can see we've got some great ones. And it's nice to see it's not the usual ones. Yeah, the normal suspects that we always see with the P sort of, you know, 51 Mustangs. It's nice to see we've got some new ones down in there. Anyway, quick run round on the box. As you can see, it is available from the PM store for a measly £32, which is actually quite a bargain for this kit. Kit number for this one is 11134. And then round on here, it says basically we've got down here 6 markings, cartograph, and obviously we're going to get their paint mask and photo etch as well down in the kit. And that's also pretty much all you're ever going to need, or hopefully, okay? So in the box, as you can see, you always tell it is Eduard when you see that. That's a nice round wheel with all the clear parts. Then we've got a separate bag there for the wing sections. We've got a multi-bag down in there with, sounds like some bits running loose in the bag. We'll have a look at that in a moment. We've got the instructions. We've got a big old decal sheet down in there. And then we have got, as we said before, a couple of their extra bits as well, being their photo etch and the mask set. So without further ado, straight into the instructions. We can see down in here, you knew it was going to be different versions of this coming out anyway, but as you can see, we have got the different ones blanked out there for different versions that are going to be coming along very, very soon. So as always, straight into the cockpit section, photo etch for the harnesses, and again, a fully detailed, beautifully done cockpit area. And then obviously we've got the fuel tank behind with the batteries and the radio equipment down in the back, and then working our way down, so we've got full sidewall details, as you might imagine, again using the colour photo etch this time for down in those areas. Then we are right the way over to the other side, and as you can see, detailed placards, information going right the way down. Everything you're going to need for doing this one. Opening up one of the holes at the back for the actual aerial on this one, and then sandwiching both halves down in there together. Full box as well, which is quite nice for the detail for the actual tail wheel area in there. A couple of things to take off, different versions we spoke about before down in there, so just keep an eye on anything that's in red, okay? Fully detailed wheel well, and that looks absolutely gorgeous with the detail that's down in there, okay? So we got the spars and the wing ribs, obviously making up the actual undercarriage area, all being fitted down in there, and then opening up the holes if you want for the drop tanks or different weaponry fit out, and then putting down the actual wing tops on those as it goes down in front. The actual guns being fitted down onto the front area. Ailerons, they're not posable, looks like they are slotted, but you could easily make them posable. Okay, as with pretty much every other Mustang, the wing box section just fits up into the fuselage, and then the tail system is down in this one. And again, it's a little bit modular for the back here for the different versions of the P-51. Obviously, with this leading part to the tail is obviously a little difference between different versions. Okay, and then again, you could easily make all of those posable. Back to the actual cockpit area, we've got the instrument panel, so we've actually got photo etch for that as well, as we know, right the way through, really nice. We've got the gun sights being fitted onto this one, and then the actual instrument combing going over the top right the way through, those being dropped down with the rudder pedals and the little part at the back. Okay, then it's underneath, so we've actually got the coolers opened up, the actual radiator ducts and tail wheel system going down in there, the actual intake one as well being fitted down onto there, and then the oil cooler areas and grills, things like that being fitted in there. A little bit of photo etch as well, some nice little details being added down in that one, and obviously we've got the landing light going down in there. Gear itself, two-piece wheels, separate hubs right the way through, so it looks complicated but it's not. Okay, so that's going to complete your main undercarriage onto that one and then fitting them in. Nice little bit of photo etch as well, just making up on the edge detail there of the actual flaps. Again, very nice to see that one. And then you obviously got that mast set, which we'll look at the moment, obviously being fitted down into there for the front and obviously the main part and the inside as well. So you've got an outside and an inside normally with this one. And then it's going through showing some more of the detailed stuff depending on which versions you do for early and late versions, and then obviously the flaps being fitted, the gear doors being fitted onto it right the way through. Last up around the actual front end, so we've actually got the exhausts, so you've got options on the different exhausts down in there, and then obviously we've got the props, making sure you have got the right one because there's multiples available in the kit, and then going down there with the actual windscreen, again different versions, different mirrors onto there, a little bit of internal detail, and the actual standby gun sight being fitted down into there as well. Okay, and then popping all of those in with the aerials. Last up, we've got the fuel tanks, so we've got the teardrop ones and the paper tanks as well being fitted, obviously depending on which version you want to do. That goes down in there. And then, as we said, the gorgeous markings. So, as you can see, we have got this one down in here, which is from, where are we, 1945 in the UK, Kingscliff. Okay, and then we've obviously got another one down in here, which is the 334th 4th Fighter Group one down in here. Again, very nice with the red and the actual one. This one, I love it. Really, really nice. Nice bright aircraft as well down in there. This is one from Italy in autumn 1944. Okay, and then a couple more of your more traditional ones from April 45. And then we've got another one down in here, Miss Steve, again, very nicely done in with the blues. So again, a lot of differences. Or, sorry, one to go, November 44 as well with the green and the actual blue on the tail with the metal. Again, another really nice one. Quite interesting to note they've actually popped this in there, although they do say about aluminium lacquer paint areas. I don't know whose one they mean from that, because let's face it, there's lots of different versions out there. But really, this shows you the different areas which are painted silver and which are metal. Okay, so as we know, the actual wings were puttied over and sanded and then painted purely so the actual riveting was covered up to improve speed. Okay, so that shows these areas. So everywhere that's sort of aluminium dark colour is painted aluminium. Everywhere which is literally down here in the lighter colour is the actual proper metal. Again, nice to see down in here it's saying about the actual tailplanes were fabric. Okay, so that shows on those as well. So quite a nice thing. Stencil data, pretty much as you'd imagine, right the way over it, right the way through, usual suspects down in there, Rotorcraft 1, things like that, all the way in. And again, nice to see them showing them on the gear, nice and easy to see how they all line up. That looks gorgeous, I have to say. Okay, so decals, really, I don't think we need to get out. You know what they are. They're cartographs, so they're going to be gorgeous and lovely right the way through. Shouldn't be any problems with those at all, but they're very nice indeed. Okay, and then if we just flick over to the close-up, we can have a look. So we've got so you've got options down here on the instrument panel. You've either got the one, no, this should make up all three. Perhaps you're just going to be laminating all three. Okay, I was thinking that it had the different types on here, but it's not. So it's the standard one right the way over. Again, a little bit of PVA glue gives the gloss effect for these, no problem at all, looks fantastic. Harnesses, very nicely done down in there, and those placards and details. And then grills, various bits, and there's those tiny little bits of flap. We were talking down there on the edges, but most of those very nicely done right the way through. Mast set, as we know, so you get the actual ones, and these are die cut. And if you can quite catch them in the light, there you go, you can just about see them through the bag there. So that's all the die cut for the actual masks. Okay, so let's go straight in the big bag. It's a shame it's not separately bagged, because there's a few bits like the actual fuel tank at the back there, which has just come away. But anyway, if we pop that over there, we'll look at that in a moment. Big old sprue, as you can see, right the way through, and then again, moving in nice and close. That is what we are looking for. That seems to have more detail on it than, I'll be honest with you, than the actual Tamiya. Mustang, which is pretty much the go-to kit for anything, especially in the sort of 32nd. But for detail, I'd always put my money on that one. Now I'm actually inclined to think this has got more detail than the actual surface detail than the Tamiya one. So that is absolutely gorgeous. Catching it in the light there, you can see all of that riveting detail popping through and looks gorgeous. Very, very well done, Eduard. That is what we come to expect, to be honest. Okay, down on here we've actually got the two different types of the actual tail system. One's a little bit more pronounced with it and the way it goes through. That's good attention to detail on there. And the rudder, obviously being fabric, you can see, trying to catch it in the light, there we go, you can see the details on that. Down on the inside of the actual, as you can imagine, it's just going to have full interior going to go into this one. But again, just to show you the tooling, how well that has been polished and done, and minimal ejector pins really to get that out. There's only a handful in there as well, which is quite nice. All right. Then into somewhat of the smaller pieces. So as you can see, it is pretty much what we'd expect. Very nice. There's no real burring to the sprues and various the parts and things like that. This is what we're talking about, multiple props, so just make sure you got the right one. So if we're having a whip round it now, as you can see, really very, very nice indeed. With that side detail, we've got the cockpit floor, we've got different noses, as you can see. We have got as the normal sort of plastic styrene instrument panels, but as I said, you have got a colour photo etch ones, different types of combing. We know there's other versions of this coming out, so that's really what we're looking at. But generally, all of that really nice. I can always sort of, you can feel and get a good idea when you look at the blind side how well the tooling is on the blind side, and that's really nice indeed. Okay, so a little bit more down in here. As you can see, we've got the various ones for the actual wheel wells and that, and again I thought that was sink marks, but it's not. It looks perfect. That looks very nice indeed. And funny enough, the only sink mark I've seen in here is up here, actually on the bit that says Eduard. But again, looking at the parts, catching them in the light, you can see beautifully tooled, very, very nicely done right the way through. You've got the wheel hubs there, you've got that detail for inside the actual, this is the tail we were saying about with the tail wheel, and then down in here we've actually got beautiful riveting detail and all the things, and it's all very sharp, which is what we're looking for the main wheel well. Okay, some more parts down in there, some of the ducting system, and again good detail right the way up in this ducting system that you're never going to see, but it's got all the detail there. Okay, and then obviously down in here we've got the different types of the coolers off the fronts. So that's nice indeed. And then down the back we've got the tail wheel and that framework around. These wheel wells again looking nice, and then obviously if we flip over, as you can see, we don't have any ejector pins in those wheel wells whatsoever. So that is very, very nice to see. And down here, here's that detail in the tail wheel, which unfortunately you're never going to see, but you know it's all in there. Again, beautiful attention to detail. Over here you can see these are an accident waiting to happen. These are the actual aerials for the spine, which are already starting to flick off. Whilst we've got it just here, this is that fuel tank. Again, beautifully done, very nice indeed. Good level of detail on that one, you can see it. Okay, so down in with the actual fuel tanks, as I say, we've got the paper tanks and the normal sort of aluminium teardrop tanks, and we've got rockets down in here and all the other types of things, and the big sort of rockets as well. Okay, so you can see you've got the multiples down in here looking very nice, all of those with the tails, with the bombs, freefall bombs. There's those fuel tanks, there's those larger rockets, and the other ones which basically mirror on the other side. Okay, so again, good weapons fit out for anything you might expect for that particular age. Okay, so into the wing section, and this looks lovely. That looks really very, very nice indeed. And this is what we're talking about. It is that thing about, do you do the tops of the wings, as you can see down in here, and they've decided to do it as per was the operational aircraft, so they've been puttied over, so there's no riveting detail down in there. And that's not to mean they just haven't put it on, because when you look at the underside you can see it is fully riveted in that spar box area. Okay, so that just goes to show about all of those. These little guys down in here are actually tiny little points from the actual rocket pods if they're going to go in. They're just ghosting somewhat at the moment, but again, they are just got tiny little heads on them as if it would. So very nice indeed. And again, once they've been painted over, you're not going to see any of that. But generally, as you can see, beautifully done, very nice. All of the actual control surfaces, got the tails down there, both sides, top and bottom. And then we've actually got the ones, these are the fabric covered ones. And then these along the bottom. We've got the wing ones, we've got the flaps, which are really very nice. So they're two-piece flap system on this one for the top and bottom. And again, right the way through. That is beautiful in scale detail at its best. And that's what you almost now, to be honest, they made a rod for their own back, because as far as I'm concerned, they've done it with the Spitfire, done it with the Mustang, did it with the 109, so now it's a case of you expecting it on every single one. Again, some of these have come off, so we've got the wheel, and then looking onto this, obviously we've got 3 different types of canopy for different versions, and then all the parts on the bottom, which is something we come to expect now with Eduard. You always get the little wheel in there, and I'm going to pop that back and keep it all nice and safe. There it is. To be honest, when I first heard about it, I was really excited, and I thought then, you know what, if anybody's going to do it and they're going to make a really good job of it, it's going to be Eduard, because that's what they do. And to be honest with you, I am not disappointed at all. In fact, I'm itching to build it. I'd love to build that. That's an absolute cracking kit. Again, it's that thing when you're doing sort of, you know, the metal finish or the natural metal finish look, it's very difficult to sort of add detail and weathering to it and make it look realistic, unless it's got gorgeous surface detail into it. If it's nice, if it's in scale, that way you can put down a really nice metal finish onto this one, a nice wash right the way over it, and a little bit of subtle weathering, and it will make it pop, which absolutely works. But a lot of this is the scale of the riveting, the scale of the panel lights, all is absolutely spot on. And with the detail in this kit, it's got to be an absolute must.